Well, it's getting close. This is kind of a Wednesday for us here in Clemson. I know I think it's a Monday everywhere else, but it's like a Wednesday for us as far as our prep and routine. We've had really good practice here. Really proud of our guys, and just excited to be back in the playoffs. Excited to be back in New Orleans, and a chance to do something we haven't done, and that's win a Sugar Bowl. So we're looking forward to it. Congratulations to Ohio State, Ryan. Again, same thing, back in the playoffs, and going to be a great game, no doubt about that. Two really, really talented teams that I know both are going to do everything they can to win. So appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you very much, Coach. And we're going to start off with Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Dabo.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
As you can imagine, you voting Ohio State 11th on your final ballot, and some of the comments about Ohio State's worthiness as a playoff team because it played only 6 games has not gone unnoticed up here. There are people who think it's gamesmanship, or you don't have as much respect for Ohio State as people here would like. What would you like to say about that?
Again, what I've already said. I mean, that it's a big deal because we're having to play them. As I said earlier, there's no question Ohio State is good enough to beat us. They're good enough to beat anybody of these 4. They're good enough to be the national champion. That's not a question at all. I didn't rank anybody who didn't play 9 games or more in the top 10. Nobody. And then after that, I said, okay, anybody who played at all, that's how I'll rank that. That group, and that's why they were 11. Nobody. I didn't even consider anybody. It had nothing to do with whether or not. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for Ohio State, and for people not to think that, I can't do anything about that. I think the world of Ryan Day. We've talked many times, and they're a wonderful program. We recruit against them because I think we have a lot of similarities in how we go about our business. So there's really nothing to it. As I said, you could change the name to any other name, anybody. Southern Cal had been 6-0. I wouldn't have had them in there. So no disrespect. I mean, people can perceive and take things however they want. But for me, especially every year, I take it seriously. But especially this year, I just don't think it's right. It's not that they're not good enough. I just don't think it's right that 3 teams have to play 13 games to be the champion and 1 team has to play 8. So people have a problem with that. I don't really care. It's my poll, and it doesn't matter who the person was. It has 0 to do with Ohio State. And I also will remind the Ohio State people, I voted them in 2017 for the same reason. I left Alabama out, and guess who was mad at me then? Alabama people, and they were good enough to win it, and that wasn't a matter whether Alabama was good enough to win it. They won it. I just felt like Ohio State deserved it. I felt like they played more games. They were the Big Ten champ, and to me that mattered. So that's why I put Ohio State in ahead of Alabama that year. I played at Alabama. I went to Alabama, so I'm an equal opportunity guy here, I guess. So I love the University of Alabama. So it's just, there's no gamesmanship. I just didn't put anybody in there or consider anyone that didn't play 9 games or more. And it's really as simple as that. It just worked out that, hey, we got to play one of those teams. Well, that's on the committee. That's what they decided to do. I think the games matter. I don't think it's right that Texas A&M, that Oklahoma, that Florida, that Cincinnati got punished because they played more games. These games matter. That game against LSU, that was a big deal for Florida. And I know we can say, well, yeah, they should be one of the best teams. Well, the game's not played on paper. You can go back and look at the top 10 preseason rankings every year for the last 20 years. There's a lot of those teams that finish the season not even ranked. The game's not played on paper. And in this year, I mean, guys can, every time you step, guys can get injured. You can get beat. There's a lot of games that we've won we weren't supposed to win. And there's a few that we were supposed to win that we lost. That's football. And so to just say, oh, well, they would have won, I don't think that that's right. And so that's nothing to do with Ohio State. If it had been anybody, give me another 6-0 team. It had been the same result. So people take it personal, but it's nothing personal at all. So that was up to the committee.
Was there any part of you that kind of thought, well, there's a reasonable chance we'll play Ohio State, and maybe just to make it easier, just
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't think I know that's going to be public, but to me, right is right. And it's not always easy to do the right thing. I absolutely knew that I would be the poster child for whatever. Now I could probably run for governor in Michigan, might have a good chance, but probably not very popular in Ohio. But listen, I don't live my life that way. I'm not going to say, well, let me put them here and do something that I absolutely don't believe in. And again, it's not that they're not good enough. They could beat us by 2 touchdowns. They're plenty good enough to beat us. They're good enough to win it all. I just had a problem with the fact that 3 teams got to play 13 games and 1 has to play 8. I don't care what the name is. Change the name. Ohio State, whoever, fill in the blank. Penn State, Michigan, Southern Cal. I don't really care. That's just was my standard that I put in place. And I wasn't going to change that because, being politically correct, and trying to, appease people. It is what it is.
Next question will be Matt Connolly from the state. And please, we ask no follow-ups. We're trying to get as many people's questions in here as we can this morning. Thank you.
Hey, Dabo, do you have an update on Xavier Thomas? Do you expect him to be available? And is there anything you can provide on why he missed the ACC championship?
Yeah, he was he was unavailable, but he's was in a protocol situation. But the biggest thing that we're going to do is we're not going to say anything about anybody until game day, and we'll put out an available, unavailable list, just like we've done all year, and leave it at that.
We're going to go to Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports.
Dabo, the playoffs in general haven't been very close. And I know there's exceptions. You guys maybe had the greatest win in your history with a second to go against Alabama. But the average point spread is 18 points in these games so far. I wonder if you had a 35,000-foot view of why that is.
We had obviously an incredibly close game with Alabama, as you alluded to, but we had an unbelievable game with Ohio State last year. That was about as good a playoff game as you could be a part of. The others we've had, haven't been as close, but I just think that it's a big stage, and it's a game of a few plays. It's a game of momentum. Those type of games, momentum is a huge thing. And then just, sometimes games can get away, turnovers, et cetera. I know when we played Alabama in the playoff, the one time we played them in the playoff game in New Orleans there, we had 2 back-to-back turnovers. We're in the game and we're driving with a chance to score and take the lead. And we get a pick, runs it all the way back to the 10. They score. The very next play, we throw a pick 6. And it's just a few plays. And again, the momentum, and sometimes it's just, it's hard to turn it. I think the best teams have won. That's my opinion. I think the better teams have won the games.
We're going to go to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Hey, Dabo, as you watch Justin Fields preparing for this game, what jumps out at you, and anything that you've seen that compares and contrasts with the quarterback you saw last year?
Well, he's very confident. He's a great football player. This guy's, he's going to be a top 2 pick, top 3 pick. I can't imagine he wouldn't be. He can do it all. It's another year in the system, and he's he's just a dangerous guy. I mean, he's got great confidence in what they're doing. He understands his progressions. He's gone through his progressions very well. He creates a lot of conflict because of his ability to run the ball, their scheme, and how he runs the scheme from the boots to the nakeds to the heavy play action, the quarterback run. He's confident in his throws. He's very confident in his receivers. So they got three great wideouts. I mean, those guys are as good as you're going to see. Olave and Wilson and that number 6. He's just a dynamic player. There's nothing he can't do, and we know that. Just like last year, 2 elite quarterbacks, mentally, physically, emotionally, skill set wise, taking the field in New Orleans on Friday night.
We'll go to Paul Meyerberg from USA Today.
Hey, Dabo. Good morning. Happy holidays.
Trevor
Lawrence, after 3 full years, the individual accomplishments, we're all familiar with: the Heisman finalist, national champion, ACC player of the year, so on down the line. If you could you describe the impact or legacy he's built at your program and is building, and also maybe compare it to the way that Deshaun Watson left and what Deshaun meant to the program?
Well, I mean, they're both, very similar as far as, what they mean to the program. I mean, they've been just incredibly committed guys, 2 great human beings. First of all, great examples, great teammates, great leaders, great preparers, you name it. Both of them graduated in 3 years, incredibly disciplined with their lives, and just never, you just couldn't find 2 more committed guys to win it. 2 great winners. That's what both of them bring to the table. Obviously, Deshaun led us to our first national championship. He kind of paved the way, and his will to win. That last drive against Alabama to win the national championship with 1 second, that's the epitome of Deshaun Watson. And then Trevor Lawrence coming in as a true freshman and winning a national championship, that's the epitome of Trevor Lawrence, because his moxie, his savviness as a true freshman, his confidence to go win a game like that. And to that stage, a lot of people going out of the game when he's a freshman and the moment's too big and all this stuff. And, there's not a moment too big for Trevor Lawrence. He's as good as he's the first Trevor Lawrence. That's the way I would describe him. He's the first one. There'll be a lot of people, trying to live up to the standard that he set as a quarterback, for a long time in this game.
We'll go to Andrea Adelson from the ACC Network.
Dabo, as a follow-up to that with Trevor, and you've been adamant that he should win the Heisman, do you feel like maybe he hasn't gotten the type of consideration for that award because he has done what we've come to expect from him over the last 3 years, and the other guys maybe have had unexpected seasons, weren't really talked about before the year?
Yeah, it's a stat media-driven award, and I felt the same way about Deshaun Watson, and it just is what it is. But to me, he's the epitome. He's the epitome of the Heisman in every regard. You're talking about a guy that lost Joseph Ngata, Frank Ladson, and Justin Ross for the whole year. And he's thrown for more yards than any team in the history of Clemson this year. Unbelievable what he's done. And, he played 9. People say, well, he missed 2. He played 9 games. And he was unbelievable. Played 9 of the 11 games. And, it's just amazing. If you really know what you're looking at, what he does and how he makes everybody else better, how equipped he is, his ability, his knowledge. It's just off the charts. And again, and I know it's not a pro potential award, but you know, he's lost one game. It's not a career award either. We all know that, but his season has been the best he's been, and he's 34-1 or whatever as a starter. There's not a better, and that is not a knock on anybody. There's some amazing young football players out there, college football players that are very deserving of the Heisman, absolutely. But the best player in the country is Trevor Lawrence, and you know, it's to me, it's not close. But you know, it's not up to me. You know, it's not. I don't get a vote in the Heisman, but and obviously I'm biased, but for good reason.
We'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Dabo, you've had a lot of teams here in the college football playoff. How do you feel like this year's team stacks up with the other teams you've gotten to this point?
Similar, you know. I mean, every team's kind of had a different path, and you know, I've never really had a team that's had the challenges of this team. Nobody has. There's nobody in the playoffs that have had to deal with what it took to get to this point. You know, so this team's unique in that way, but similar in you know, I feel good about how we're built. You know, I like our guys in the trenches on both sides. We've had great quarterback play. We've got some explosive skill, and you know, we're starting to play our best football, and I still think our best football is still in front of us. So similar.
We'll go to Trevor Groves from cutigers.com.
Hey, Coach. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Just wanted to ask you about Coach Coombs. What have you seen from him this year? Ohio State's defense schematically, how is it different or similar from what you saw last year with Coach Hafley? And from a personnel standpoint, I know they lost a lot of talent on the back end. What have you seen from their personnel this year?
Very similar, and why would it not be? You know, I mean, they're really good, and not much has changed. They're a little bit more to safety, maybe just a hair more to safety, but you know, they believe in what they do, man. They're built to stop the run, and that's so more similar than not. And personnel wise, you know, I mean, they're no different than we are. They lose good players every year, just like we do, but they replace them with good players every year, just like we do. And they do a good job of developing their guys. You know, I thought, you know, we did not play well, you know, in the game last year. They did a great job. I didn't think we played great at wideout. You know, the best thing we did is we took care of the ball, and that was the difference in the game. But you know, we got to play better than we did last year. That's for sure. And but you know, they're built the same. Really good up front. Those D tackles are really good players. They've got depth at end, a lot of experience at linebacker. You know, they've moved Wade to corner. That's different from last year, but he's an elite player. Number 7, same thing, man. Those safeties. I mean, you know, 5, Browning. I mean, all those guys. They're really good football team. And again, built in the trenches, built in the front 7, and built to stop the run. So we'll have our hands full.
We have time for one final question. We'll go to the phone of Ralph Russo from the Associated Press. Ralph, be sure to unmute, please.
Hey, Dabo, sorry about that. Wondering if you can talk about what you've asked your players to sacrifice this year. Every team has done it, right? It's been a tough year, and you've asked more of them than ever before. If you can get into a little bit of what you've asked them to sacrifice and how difficult, well, I shouldn't say difficult, but how challenging this probably has been for them.
No, it's unprecedented. It's been incredibly challenging. You know, I just tell them, don't give up what they want most for what they may want at a moment. Just really that simple. And the teams that do this the best and manage this the best, that's who's gonna finish the best. And I challenged them early on that this could be a competitive advantage. It doesn't have to be a competitive disadvantage. The glass is half full, it's not half empty. And this is what it's all about, taking what we got and making the best of it. And it's been an unbelievably tough year on these kids. Incredible. People will never know. There'll be books, there'll be documentaries, there'll be things. These kids 20 years from now will be telling stories that people won't believe. This is unprecedented times. We've never had a moment like this. And what these kids had to sacrifice to be able to play is incredible. And again, that's why I'll go back to the way I did my poll. From isolation to virtual work to not seeing their families, post game, nobody. Just the way we've had to meet, just buying into, not going places, not doing things. A lot of these kids have just done church online, well, you name it. Just the adjustments, very abnormal what they've had to do, but they have all sacrificed so that we would have a chance to get to this point. And I'm just really proud of them, their commitment, their leadership, and how they bought in. And not just the players, our staff, all of our medical people, our administration. It has been an unbelievable undertaking that we've all been a part of. And hey, we're near the end here, and everybody's just got to stay committed. Every time we tested 4 times a week, and every time we get that test. But again, just the discipline that they've had to apply to their lives has been incredible. And I'm just super proud of them. And most people, I think, don't really understand what all has gone on this year. And but this team in particular really fought to play. They fought to play the game, and I'm so thankful that we have been able to play. This has been a year I'll never forget. This is one of the closest teams I've ever been a part of. As a result, because we've just had each other, and so looking forward to seeing them finish well.
Thank you very much for the time this morning, Coach. Good luck with the rest of your